Hey Tim, look at this.
Needs work.
Hey Tim, how about this?
Still needs work.
Darn it. How about this?
Nice, high five.
Hey there everybody, how's it going?
My name's Tim.
And my name's Michael.
And you're watching the TMI show.
That's the Tim and Michael Information Show, and today we are reviewing Drawing from the Masters. It's a little bit of a class and a little bit of a philosophy. It started with the class that I'm taking, and those of you who may or may not be familiar with the art world, Marshall Vandruff's Drawing from the Masters class is a pretty popular one. In fact, I was sitting with Bob Jensen in his office, and I was just talking with him about some stuff and about art, and then he said, "Have you taken Marshall's Drawing from the Masters class?" And I said, "No, I haven't." He says, "Definitely should. Marshall's a master himself." And I was like, "Okay, you know." So because I was taking Marshall for sketching at the time, and so I decided to take it. And it's interesting what we're doing in class. And for those who don't know, you're choosing different masters, and he had a whole thing on the first day where he talked about, well, what is a master?
Sure.
You know, and that could be a bunch of different opinions of, but it should be to you somebody that you look up to or admire that does what they do so well. And then the point is that you're going to study them, and you're going to study how they did what they did, that you integrate it after your studies, that it's into your own work. And I just wanted to quickly throw up some things just to kind of show you what I was doing. All right.
You know the way.
Bam. Boom. Piece one that we're showing, this is one of my favorite albums of Rob Zombie's Hellbilly Deluxe. And that's the little icon over there to the left. That's the drawing and of the actual album, or painting, should I say. And I also have this on a t-shirt, and I remember seeing it in some other places where I sort of got a bigger picture of it. But then Rob posted on his Instagram the other day the actual painting that he has hanging up in his home, I'm sure, or a little gallery in a hallway. And this is actually done by Basil Gogos. Now, if anybody doesn't know what he does, Google him. He got popular in the 60s, late 50s and 60s, working for a horror magazine and doing these paintings that were very, very colorful of the nostalgic 30s and 40s horror creatures and horror monsters. So Dracula and Frankenstein, and also he would do some of Vincent Price, and they had a very particular look to them, and that was this look. So Rob, who was also a fan of that sort of thing, got this master to do a painting for him, and that was a painting. So having seen the full painting, what we're doing is comp studies. You basically break it down to two-tone, three-tone, maximum of 5 tones, on your color wheel, and just sort of pick out, because there's probably who knows how many colors in there, but if you can strip it down. And so this was one thing that I did, and this is not a very big file at all. I don't know how the computer's making it look, but it is not a huge file. It's very small, and I was working very small. Just even all those details were just scratches that I was moving very quickly.
Sure. Well, and it reads very well from back here. There are very quick scratches, but back here it reads as a nice full flowing head of hair.
Yeah, thank you.
So props.
And but this is a midterm, so this was all the accumulation of all the steps that we had already done prior to that. Some others that I have are from Stephen Gamble. This one I didn't feel well. Thank you. Yeah. This one I still have problems with because I think I started trying to capture too much of texture, even though I was only using only 4 tones. A maximum of 4 tones are in here.
If I may interject really fast, was this done traditionally?
This is actually done digitally as well. It would have been graphite. It would have been better to do this traditionally on paper with ink, I think, and charcoal. And then here's another piece from Charles Adams. This is a tiny. I actually had to blow it up to make it bigger on the screen because I was working so small. It just with the little scribbles that I did. So the whole point is, like I said, stripping it down to its basic elements. You'll notice that the left, there's some, right above Morticia's head, there's some sort of blotchiness happening that might have been from watercolor on the paper. That's what it looks like. It's saturated. But on mine, I mean, it's all just one tone because it's like, you know what, we're not concerned about the crazy details. You're just trying to capture
Sure.
the essence and the composition. And so my whole point of showing you these was because I noticed that with my band, we're working on 5 sets of music right now, and 5 sets equals 5 hours of music.
Wow.
And as soon as we hit 5, then we're going to start writing our originals. We've already sort of started, but we're also waiting to get our kind of LLC contract going that binds us together and also protects our music as an original band entity. But also I started thinking, gosh, this is almost like a master's study because we're studying all of these other bands, and we're doing covers of a big gambit of music, not just rock and roll, but some funk in there. We got a little bit of, some country slide going on in there, and doing all of this, focusing and studying on all these other masters, if you will, that by the time we start writing our own originals, we will have done a lot of master homework.
Very nice.
So that's sort of the thing that I wanted to bring up and
5
say.
hours of master homework.
Oh,
You've
well.
practiced over and over again. That's a lot.
If you think that I've been doing it since January, and we have rehearsals every week,
Whew.
so for 3 hours a night, once a week, you're just learning things and getting it into your brain. It's been amazing. It's been a lot of fun.
Good.
So I think I wanted to share that it's important to have that sort of interaction with immersing yourself in all of your masterworks and making sure it's the people that you like. Because
True.
I've seen some people in class bringing stuff in, and maybe only 1 or 2 people have missed the point of it should be stuff that you want to do. And Marshall will always ask, is this the kind of thing you want to do? And then I think I heard one person say, well, I mean, I thought it was pretty. Maybe they just haven't found what it is they want to do
Which is
yet.
fair,
So,
yeah.
And then you were also telling me on another token that it's important to, you were talking about hanging with people
Sure.
or just surrounded by people.
Definitely.
What were you saying about that?
Right. Well, I'm going to bring this up because as soon as Michael talks about drawing with masters, it made me think about how much I've kind of inhabited my own world for this last semester. I haven't taken any classes. I've been sort of taking the semester off. The purpose to do my own projects, but I've kind of picked up this delusion of that I'm an artistic superhero and I can just bust out amazing compositions and I know color really well. I think I've got all these things mastered when really I don't have them down as much as I'd like to, and it's easy to forget that. So I think it's really good to hang out with other people, other artists in general, so they can kind of keep you in check and say, well, maybe this could be better. It helps you. It's easy to become blinded to your own flaws. And other artists in general, like Michael or other friends, will help you realize those and, again, keep those in check. But I think it is also equally important to hang out with people who are masters in their own right or just even at a higher level than you are. And it is hard. I'll be honest, it's very hard because, you might feel really good about a piece that you've worked really hard on, and they'll say, well, this isn't working as well because, of this shape and this silhouette or, this color, and you just kind of wilt and you're like, oh, well, now I've got a lot more work to do.
Well, it's humbling, isn't it?
Yeah, and a lot of times they'll bring up things you didn't even consider. I have a piece I'm working on right now, a concept design, a vehicle design, which I'd rather not disclose at the time being, but I'm sure we'll see it on the show eventually. But I did show it to a friend of mine who is a professional artist, and he's just absolutely amazing. He blows my mind all the time, and I showed it to him, and he said, well, your perspective looks good, and for the question you asked me, because I asked him, how can I draw this from any angle, and he's like, well, it looks, just keep doing the perspective you're doing. That's really the only way to solve that. There's no other way around it. What you really have to consider, and I'm like, oh, this is not what I asked.
If I may.
Yeah, exactly, the infamous Michael question. It's like, what you really have to consider is the fact that you want this to be recognizable from any angle, and it's really good to have some sort of prominent, simple object on there, or some sort of decal or something, some element that as soon as people see it, they're like, that's what that is, and they know, what direction it's going, what angle they're looking at it from. No matter where they're seeing this thing, they always know what that is, and that's something I've been wrestling with for the past couple of days, and I'm starting to get my head around. I don't think I understand it as much as I would like, but obviously this is something that would not have just come to me. So it is very important to hang out with people who do what you do and do it much better, and especially masters, because you will pick up on stuff.
There's
Really
always a bigger fish. That's one of
Absolutely.
my favorite Qui-Gon Jinn quotes. There's always, or was it Qui-Gon, or was it?
It was
Obi?
Qui-Gon.
It was Qui-Gon.
There's always a bigger fish.
And the also philosophy behind that. I remember my mom talking to me once, just when I was little, about we were watching Jim Henson, and then shortly after watching Michael Jackson's Thriller video and looking at John Landis, and then you started looking at Landis, Lucas, and Frank Oz, and my mom just said about Jim Henson, she said, he just surrounded himself with geniuses, and you look at the Creature Shop and the stuff that they did for Star Wars, and then you look at all of the collaborative works that happened over the years, and that's really what it was, you just surrounded yourself with geniuses, and all of a sudden, like, your work had got that much more.
It changes the way you think.
Yeah,
really.
almost definitely. I mean, could you imagine, could you imagine taking any one of those elements away? Could you imagine taking Jim Henson away from Star Wars?
No.
And it was you got so lucky.
I can't.
You got so lucky to just have these friends who were great in their own right. And that's the other thing. Surround yourself not with just people who do better work than you, but who do very different work
Right.
than you do, and you'll be surprised at everything that just funnels out. So
Right.
that's what we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope that your masterful work gets better with the masters that you surround yourselves with. See you later,
Definitely.
future masters.
Keep doing studies.
Hi everyone! If you have a question or a comment for me or Michael, you can reach us at tmi.art.productions@gmail.com.
Look!